If you've lost money using Cash App, you may be able to get up to $2,500 back through a legal settlement. You'll want to see this. It is back to school time, but it doesn't have to break the bank. How to trim your school costs, whether your kids are little or heading to college, we've got you covered. Do you use ride shares? I'm going to show you a new way to save money on Lyft, and how some folks are saving hundreds of dollars a month on rent. And yes, utilities are included. Hey there, welcome to Dollars and Cents. I'm your host, Heather Sullivan. Thanks for being with us. I've been telling you about ongoing issues, people saying they've been defrauded and losing money through different payment apps. But if you lost money on Cash App, you may be able to get some of it back. Cash App is settling a $15 million lawsuit after a former employee gained access to customer data without permission. Well, plaintiffs say the Cash App and its parent company failed to properly handle complaints. Customers could receive as much as $2,500 each. In order to qualify, you must have had a Cash App account from August of 2018 through August of this year. You have until November 18th to file a claim. And for all of you college students, life might look a little bit different on campus. That's because colleges nationwide are cutting majors and slashing programs to deal with budget challenges. Since the pandemic, lower enrollment and rising operational costs have hurt universities. These cuts will especially affect students who are in smaller academic programs. And while we're talking about colleges and budgets, all those delays and snafus that came with the new FAFSA application over the past year, well, they're also resulting in lower enrollments and cutbacks at some schools. The journal Inside Higher Education reports a handful of colleges around the country have announced layoffs or program cuts, citing declining enrollment and FAFSA delays. The University of Houston tells us, quote, only a small percentage of the University of Houston student population is still impacted by the delayed FAFSA release. We do not expect any disbursement delays for students who have accepted their financial aid offers. Rice University tells us, quote, we are still experiencing delays with receiving FAFSA data from some students. However, we are managing these such that students' access to aid and their ability to begin the academic year are not impacted at Rice. We also talked to Lone Star College.
As far as our enrollment, we're almost to where we are this time last year, but slightly down, approximately 1%. Some of that could still be related to people learning about options for financial aid, as well as some of the natural issues that we've had a few weeks ago. We are actually in a position where we have more students that are eligible for financial aid than we had last year, and the amount of available awards is higher than it was.
So that's the good news right there. Lone Star says the reason that aid is higher is due to the new FAFSA's goal, which is to help students who qualify to receive Pell Grants. You definitely want to be filling out that FAFSA form. Now, class begins for many colleges over the next few weeks. So how else are you going to pay for it? Well, Matt on the Money at our Fox station in Tampa got some advice on ways to pay that bill without taking out student loans.
Considering that for most students, college starts in August, it's pretty stunning.
Stunning that a whopping 9 out of 10 Gen Z students don't have enough funds to pay for college in the coming school year. This, according to a new survey by scholarship matching site Scholarship Owl.
What this means is the vast majority of these students that don't have the funds together now are likely going to turn to student loans.
And with student loan interest rates up more than 1% over last year, it is more critical than ever to leverage debt-free resources.
Talk to students about how to avoid student loans and create an affordable path to college for themselves.
Whether you've submitted the FAFSA or not, Jennifer Finetti says the most important thing you can do now is be working this summer, earning money to help with tuition.
For those of you who don't have a job yet, you should be trying to get one. Work full-time in the summer if you can, part-time during the school year.
And then you should prioritize applying for scholarships. They're gifts. You don't have to pay them back, and there are thousands of them available based on career interest, area of study, and demographics.
You can actually apply to scholarships year-round, and even after school starts, don't give up, keep applying. I know many students who have received scholarships in the early part of the school year that they were then able to apply.
In fact, she says summer is the best time to apply. With fewer applicants competing, there's a better chance of winning. And they don't always require an essay.
Sometimes they might ask you to do a social media post about a particular theme. They might ask you to create a video.
Look for scholarships that match your interests, ones you're passionate about applying for, and you'll already be ahead of the class.
Not only will you have an increased chance of winning just based on the matching criteria, but also you're going to be more motivated, more excited, more likely to complete that application and submit it on time.
All right, and for those of you with younger kids, the National Retail Federation says families will spend about $900 on back-to-school stuff per child. So we talked to some moms and money-saving experts on ways to cut that number down. Inflation is putting the financial pinch on families this back-to-school season.
My budget has changed this year, so I'm actually shopping more on eBay. I'm shopping on Poshmark. I'm looking for sales more.
Here's a free lesson in savings. First, inventory the supplies and clothes you already have, especially that younger siblings can use. Swap what you no longer need with families who have items that your kids want. Next, wait to buy supplies your student doesn't need right away until a few weeks after the school year begins.
Then go to your big box retailers, your office supply stores. You're going to find those same items marked down anywhere from 50 to 90% off.
Then stock up on what your kids use every year. And remember, secondhand means big savings. You can buy refurbished laptops and tablets for a fraction of the cost.
From a reputable seller like Amazon, or even the manufacturer itself will oftentimes offer refurbished items on Amazon.
Others include Goodwill, Best Buy, and Apple Trade-In. Then hit the thrift and consignment stores for clothes.
And you're talking savings of anywhere from 70 to 90%, depending on where you go.
If you're clothes shopping online, download the Benny app. It can show you where you can find the same or similar items being sold secondhand for a lot less.
This year, secondhand shopping is big for me. I'm doing a lot of eBay, Poshmark. I just got my daughter some cute tops on eBay.
Some great ideas there. So I put some links to sites that can help you save on Sullivan Smart Sense on fox26houston.com. And as we go back to school, a lot of parents are thinking about school lunches, of course. So if you have to pack a lunch, here are a few things to keep in mind that'll help you save some money. Plan ahead. What do you want to pack? Have it ready for the lunch for the week. Don't worry about buying pre-packaged snacks, and shop smarter by planning your grocery store trips.
It's great to take the kids shopping, and it's also great to teach them things like buying generic. You know, that's always a huge money saver. If you can buy generic, by and large, you're saving from 20 to 25%. But on key items, things like breakfast cereal, lunch condiments like mayonnaise or even ketchup, you can save up to 47% by buying generic.
Another way you can save, buy in bulk and store lunches in bento boxes and reusable containers. And while we're talking about kids, how does a no-gift birthday party sound? Pretty good? Well, hundreds of moms were polled by What to Expect, and researchers found that 13% put no gifts on their birthday party invitations. When we asked why, some feel like their house is already overrun with toys and stuff, so they're trying to cut back. Or they're trying to teach their kids a message about friendship without consumerism. Others want to take the pressure off of other parents whose kids may receive multiple invitations to parties and really can't afford to buy all of those gifts. On average, parents spend $28 on each gift. But get this, they also found 1 in 3 moms invited to a no-gift party brought a gift anyway, which is very nice. All right, well, how steamed are you about high grocery prices? They have stayed high, right? Well, the Federal Trade Commission is hearing you, and it is now investigating grocery stores to see why we're still paying high prices, even though the economy is improving. Bob Bernard with our Fox station in Dallas takes a look.
We don't need to tell you prices for most grocery items are ridiculously high. Now the Federal Trade Commission says it plans to launch an investigation to try to find out why.
It's out of this world, literally.
Prices are ridiculous for families.
The government says the inflation rate for groceries right now, and for the last year for that matter, has been about 1%. And yet prices at your neighborhood grocery store are still high. Suspiciously high, according to the Biden administration. Now, the FTC wants to know whether supermarket companies are purposely inflating prices as their costs level off.
I'm not seeing the prices come down. If inflation is coming down, hopefully we get a break with prices. I haven't seen that yet. I spent almost $40 for really not much just now. So I know that they need to make money too. I think something's up. There should be some correction lower, in my opinion.
Grocery store chains have said the high costs of labor and supply chain disruptions during the pandemic are to blame for what you're paying. The government says the cost of your groceries is still up more than 20% from the start of 2021.
A couple of days ago, I went to make shrimp Alfredo for me and my husband, and it came up to like $57. It's never been like that ever before. I think shrimp alone is like $12, $13. And then when you add all the other ingredients, it's just out of this world. It's too much.
I think produce is high, even water is high. Everything in the supermarket is just sky high. And it's sad because certain people that's not like have government assistance or food stamps, we really have to pay money for food. So, you know, it gets frustrating sometimes that food is that high.
The government says the price of poultry and eggs rose at their fastest pace in 2022, due in part to the avian flu and the war in Ukraine. High energy costs are also contributing to sticker shock on aisles 1 through 16.
Just getting eggs is like almost $5 now. And some things, I went to buy, perfect example, I went to go buy a bag of chips this morning and it's like $6 for a bag of chips. And I'm like, it's like they're forcing me to go on a diet. So.
And I actually work at the food stamp office, so I see it both ways. It's just, you can't really, buy good quality food. So we tend to eat, oodles and noodles, and we left eating bad things because you can't afford it.
We've reached out to a number of the largest supermarket companies. So far, only Safeway Albertsons has gotten back to us with a no comment. Guys?
Well, we'll keep you posted on how that investigation goes. Now, Lyft is adding a monthly subscription service titled Price Lock. The new features a price cap on certain routes at specific times, essentially allowing riders to avoid paying higher prices during peak demand. The monthly subscription fee is expected to be under $5, so you might want to check it out, see if that'll save you some money. Artificial intelligence could help you save money on your health care. Almost 15% of claims submitted to insurance companies by doctors are rejected due to errors. That costs providers and patients millions of dollars a year. But an AI company called Thoughtful is focusing on streamlining that process to give doctors more time and money to spend on their patients. It's estimated that the AI healthcare marketplace was worth $16 billion last year. And if you are still looking forward to a last hurrah this summer and you're getting ready to fly somewhere, the last thing you want is to get held up by TSA, right? Well, do you really know what you can take through security? Steve Noviello with our Fox station in Dallas is going to give us a pop quiz with some surprising answers.
Well, it's the summer travel season, and the last thing you want is some sort of delay, especially one that's your own fault. Consumer reporter Steve Noviello here to help us avoid any of those problems. I feel like there's been a lot of travel issues lately.
So we're in the home stretch here, right? Let's not get sloppy, folks. And I think that most people feel like they're well trained. So liquids of a certain size are a no-no if you're not TSA pre-check. The shoes, the laptops, they all come out. These things are going to surprise you. A bit of a quiz for you today, okay? So what I want to know is what on the table is going to get you sent to secondary screening. So we'll start over here. Peanuts or peanut butter? Which one could be problematic?
I'm guessing this peanut butter jar would be considered a liquid, so it would be too large.
So here's the thing. A lot of people think that peanut butter is a solid, but according to TSA, if you can spread it or you can pour it, it's a liquid. So too large cannot go. You're doing good.
I tried to bring hummus on a plane one time and learned that the hard way, so I actually did know this answer.
Okay, so here we go. Power strip or box of power cables?
So one of them for sure is an issue?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to guess power strip.
So just recently they changed the rules, so you can bring a power strip on a plane. Here's the problem with this, and this is actually my grab and go box of cables. Every time I get a new device, I take the cable and I add it. I don't edit, right? There are things in here that I just don't use anymore. Like I've got all these lightning cables. My iPhone doesn't have lightning anymore. So remember what TSA is seeing. All they see is this brick of mismatched wires. Doesn't look great on an X-ray, right? So I want you to edit down and only bring the ones that you're actually going to use. Okay, they get harder as we go along. Okay. So dark glass or this clear crystal vase?
Now, one time I brought a candle on a flight and that got extra screened. Yes. So I'm gonna go with the dark glass.
So the difference between these two is this is glass, which is okay. This is leaded crystal. So the problem is that to you and I, it looks absolutely clear, right? But to a TSA screen or an X-ray, it's lead. Okay. So it actually appears like a solid dark mass.
Looks a little sketchy when they screen
exactly.
it.
Okay, so I know that you like to travel. You and Kev are all over the place, right? So maybe you bring back a little sand, some of the local spices. What do you think? Good idea or bad idea?
Well, I know you're not supposed to like pick local plants and take it with you on the plane, so I'm gonna guess sand isn't okay, but I could also see the spices being screened extra because they look a little weird.
They look a little sus, right? Here's the thing, if you're gonna bring this back, and you can, go ahead and pack it, because again, the X-ray is seeing shades and shapes. I don't know about you, but this shade and shape is not looking great in my carry-on bag, so let's not give them a reason to worry about.
Yeah,
this
so
one also
either.
too, right?
Yeah.
Is a bit of okay, so this is a true story. So Doug and I were at a murder mystery weekend in San Antonio. We won, of course.
Congratulations.
And we got this beautiful Maltese Falcon replica. We got pulled and screened at the San Antonio airport so fast, and the guy said, here's the reason why. We look at bags all day long. They all look essentially the same. When we see something that is so different come through, we pull it for a secondary screening, especially when it is solid and we can't see through it. And then he told us, and I did not know this, when people transport black tar heroin, they often shape it into like figurines or stuff to try and hide what it is. We did not end up in prison, but we definitely got caught at screening. You did well. You did well.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I've had to learn the hard way, unfortunately, with a lot of these things.
The hummus, that's a lesson you only learned once.
I mean, I think the big takeaway is just give yourself extra time, especially with how busy it is this summer.
And
if
communicate,
you are carrying
right? Listen, if
strange.
you've got things, you know, snow globes is another example, right? Believe it or not, they've got liquid in them and people forget that all the time. So communicate with the TSA folks, give them a heads up if you've got anything that's a little bit different in your bag.
Or just travel with this guy. That's my takeaway. All right, thank you, Steve.
Yep.
We'll be right back.
All right, I have to take notes. No hummus, no snow globes. Okay, are you still bothered by robocalls? Yeah, me too. I'm with you. Well, a federal agency is calling for even tighter restrictions on calls and texts generated by artificial intelligence. The Federal Communications Commission is proposing new rules, and it includes a definition for AI phone calls and requiring companies to disclose when they're using AI. The FCC says the proposed rules would give consumers more clarity when they get these calls. This follows another FCC proposal to ban robocalls that use AI-generated voices. Now, meanwhile, some not so good news. JP Morgan's Jamie Dimon is raising the bank's odds of a recession by year's end up to 35%, and that's up from 25% in the bank's mid-year outlook. The Federal Reserve Bank of New York is reporting Americans owe a record $1.3 trillion on their credit cards. That is a lot of credit card damage. The average consumer is carrying more than $6,300, which is up nearly 5% over this time last year. Now, for every 100 extremely low-income households in Houston, there are just 25 affordable homes to rent, according to the National Low-Income Housing Coalition. Some renters struggling to find affordable housing are turning to a new model of co-living, and they're saving hundreds of dollars a month. A leasing platform called PadSplit is now in more than a dozen states with a goal of creating more affordable housing. Take a look. Greg Lynch rents a room in this house through PadSplit to cut his commute time to work and cut his costs.
You can't find a one-bedroom in Houston to save your life. And if you do, it'll be over $1,000, you know what I mean? So compare that to what I'm paying. I pay less than $700 a month.
And that includes the water, electric, and internet bills. He shares the kitchen, bathroom, and laundry room with 7 other renters.
It's much more of like a home vibe. And because my neighbors are my roommates, we've all kind of become friends.
Renters must stay at least 31 days, then it's weekly, though most have been here several months.
I didn't want to just jump into a commitment with another apartment community or sign a lease.
Atticus LeBlanc says he founded PadSplit to connect property owners and renters to create affordable housing where it's often lacking.
You can have someone who's working and earning less than $40,000 a year, but that has full-time employment, that still can't afford anything in the market.
PadSplit helps property owners convert spaces like living rooms into extra bedrooms that are rented out furnished with lockable doors.
There's a background check. There's identity verification where you have to take a picture of yourself holding your ID.
In Houston, LeBlanc says the average PadSplit rent is about $667 a month, compared to a studio apartment averaging over $1,000, according to CoStar.
When we survey residents, they report an average savings of $332 a month.
If you're single, you're looking for a one bedroom, you don't have a lot of furniture, maybe this is ideal. So the rental properties must meet certain safety requirements. The Better Business Bureau reports that some renters have filed complaints regarding cleanliness or security issues for some homes across the country. But PadSplit says that it offers a 24/7 support team that renters can reach out to. And a new Redfin report shows how much home buyers are willing to sacrifice for a home with a good price. 1 in 5 say they would actually trade physical safety for the right priced home within the next year. The most willing to sacrifice safety were actually Gen Zers at 23%. Other factors that buyers would give up include access to their doctors, good restaurants, and highly rated schools. And more adults are actually moving back in with their parents, and it seems like most people are actually kind of happy about it. A new survey finds 85% of parents whose kids previously moved out would be delighted if they came back home. The majority said that their child asked to move back in because they couldn't afford to live on their own or they wanted to save money. 45% said their child said that it actually improved their relationship with the child. But many admit that taking care of their kids is taking a toll on them financially. A quarter of those surveyed said they were not expecting to have to care for their kids again after they moved out the first time. And finally, I want to know what you think about this. A couple charged their wedding guests $333 each to attend their wedding. Yes, newlyweds. This is Nova and Remo Style. And they said in an interview, people paid to experience attending concerts. Why not their wedding? Guests got a seat on a double-decker bus for a 12-hour tour of New York City, and it saved the couple $70,000. They said the guests did attend, but that it came with a bit of grumbling and some choice words. Weigh your options. All right, that's our show. Thanks so much for joining us. Drop me a line on Instagram, Facebook, and X. It's all Heather Sullivan, Fox 26. I love hearing from you. And you'll find more ways to save on Sullivan Smart Cents on fox26houston.com. And we'll see you next time right here on Dollars and Cents.